Everybody has a story, and I think most families have a secret. I grew up thinking I led a pretty normal life. Born and raised in Iowa, grew up knowing I was adopted, have an amazing family, knowing I was loved unconditionally, knowing I had been born prematurely before I was placed for adoption. But, looking around me, there didn't seem anything out of the ordinary about that. When I was 14 years old, my parents had to tell me something that I don't think any parent ever wants to share. And that was our family secret about abortion. My mom said to me that night, "Missy, your biological mother had an abortion during her pregnancy with you, and you survived it." And I often describe it to people. It's sort of like when you're a little kid and you're on the swing and you fall and you get the wind knocked out of you and everything hurts. That night, everything hurt. Back then, I didn't know that abortions could ever fail or that women could stop them during the process or that women could reverse them if it's a chemical abortion. I didn't know back then that there were other babies like me who had survived abortions. And so it was this very shocking and traumatic and lonely experience. Our culture has hidden the truth about how babies survive abortions, and our culture has left us unsupported. And for many of us, sitting in a place of shame and having to grapple on this journey on our own, and that's not healthy for anybody. I'm the mom of 2 girls, and I can't imagine how scared my mom had been all those years, right? Of I don't ever want her to find out, right? Because the truth is going to hurt her so much. We want her to just know that she's loved, but she was courageous enough to tell me the truth. And I remember thinking back then, this can't be real, right? This can't be real. This doesn't happen. I think it's hard enough to be a teenager without having something really traumatic happen or finding out something traumatic. After I found out my story, I was deeply struggling with that of who am I now and where do I fit in this world and what does it mean to be a survivor? I did what I now know most survivors do, which was go silent and turn my pain inward. I started looking for my biological parents when I was about 19. And I didn't find them until I was almost 30, so really about 10 years. And I knew a lot about my biological family, but it really was piecing it together. And lo and behold, in 2007, when I obtained my medical records, which do detail the abortion, I discovered who my birth parents were through those records. I learned that I was living in the same city as my birth father. Unfortunately, I never was able to meet my birth father. I'd sent him a letter, and gratefully, his family found it when he passed away. That's how they learned why my birth parents' relationship suddenly ended after 4 years of dating. My birth parents were engaged when that abortion was forced on my birth mom. They didn't know about the abortion. They didn't know about their granddaughter. When I think about my birth mom's family, what I never could have recognized was that there were so many layers to the secrets that affected their families. Even though I knew who she was back in 2007, it wasn't until 2013 when my husband and I and our first daughter then moved to Kansas City. It wasn't long after that we moved there that a member of her family had reached out to me by email. And she had said, right, "We feel like now's the time. Would you like to know more of your story?" I knew by the way the emails were going that there was something that was really horrible that I was about to find out. And that was my grandmother demanded that the nurses that she helped supervise leave me to die. I ultimately was rushed off to the NICU by a nurse who was unwilling to follow my grandmother's orders. And that's why I'm alive today, right? Because somebody put their job on the line and said yes. I never could have realized that when that nurse rushed me off to the NICU, my grandmother followed her in and said, "Don't you ever tell my daughter that this baby lived." And they didn't. A room full of NICU nurses prayed over me, never forgot me, provided quality medical care for me, and I was transferred to another hospital. My birth mom was told that the abortion was successful. I was a secret that got moved on. People think about my birth mother's experience and go, well, how could she not know? When we live in a culture that says, hey, by the way, failed, stopped, reversed abortions don't happen, it's always successful, right? We're not going to tell you what that means. We're not going to tell you that it ends the life of a child, but we're going to tell you abortion is successful. How would a woman ever guess in a million years that her baby survived? And so she didn't know. Ultimately, her family saw me in an interview right about the same time, actually, I was finding out who she was, and worlds collided. And you can imagine how hard that was for my birth mom. I mean, both, right, an incredible blessing, but at the same time, such a horrible shock. We started to communicate, my birth mom and I. We did not meet for about 3 years. And the first time we met, I walked up to her and my half-sister Jennifer was holding her hand. Jen took my birth mom Ruth's hand and put it in mine. And that day, Ruth locked eyes with me and she said, you know, I never got to hold you. And so then we just hugged. There's just no way to really put that into words in a truly meaningful way, except to know that that moment was just so sacred. And to think all those years, I thought how much had been taken from me, how much had been taken from her as well. Back then, right, when I first found out my story, I'd focused most on myself, right, and my pain and my suffering. And even though I could love my birth mom and forgive her and understand what a difficult position she was in and wish that it was different for her and for me, healing and forgiveness started to open myself up to the fact that there was more than just my own suffering. There was so much more to hers and my birth fathers and their family as well. When I think about abortion now in particular, I can now see the importance of understanding how abortion affects everyone and recognizing the support for so many people, support for survivors, support for moms who are going through this, support for the extended family members and adoptive parents as well. We need to not only talk about this, but we need to support people in those individual experiences. Over the years, I came from this place of healing and clinical social work to knowing that there was something I was supposed to do with my story. It was a new thing to have a survivor kind of come out with their story. There was nowhere that was saying, hey, there's other people like you. Here's how you can heal. Here's some resources. We know what it's like to be you. There was nobody saying, hey, there's other people like you. Would you like to get to know them? Would you like to get involved in advocacy together? I got involved in it as a speaker in the pro-life movement, and everywhere I went, I started to hear from other people like me. Over the years, right, I'd jot notes of like, man, what do survivors need? What do parents need? What did my mom and dad need that they didn't have? And I'd write stuff down and then I'd pray about it and go, Lord, you really need to bring somebody who can do something to help survivors and help families. And in 2019, I just remember waking up one day in the midst of it and being so tired and thinking, I need to either find the people who can help or I need to walk away. And I woke up one day and went, oh, it's me, right? It's been me all along. How did I not see? And so that's how we became a nonprofit in 2019. The mission of the Abortion Survivors Network is to end the generational trauma of abortion by saving the lives of survivors and serving their families well. We started to jump in, providing skill and training in how to share your story publicly, how to work with the media, how to stay emotionally healthy and well when you're doing it. Gathering up survivors from around the world who had never been supported before, who had never even come face to face with another survivor like them, developed our healing curriculum, developed these community Zooms where survivors from even all corners of the globe get together. As of July of 2023, we've been connected with over 675 abortion survivors who have survived every type of abortion that you can imagine. We provide all of those programs and resources and supports to them. We give them opportunities to share their message and their story in ways that are safe for them. What we started to experience was not only an increase in survivors, but an increase in moms reaching out to us. So moms just like my own birth mom, Ruth, who maybe were parenting a child that they had had a failed abortion with 30 years ago. We started to hear from women who were taking chemical abortion pills. No matter what gestation, they were experiencing those abortions failing. And they find out they're still pregnant and they're grappling with it and saying, so now what? What did I just do? Is there hope for my baby? What is their life going to look like? Can I parent this child? The rest of the culture isn't talking about this, but you guys are. Tell me, is there hope? We've now jumped in feet first there as well to provide support groups to moms who are pregnant right now, providing them one-on-one support to say, you are not alone in this experience. It's shocking to find out that your abortion wasn't successful, but we're going to stay here with you. We're going to walk alongside you. We're going to help you find the resources you need. We're going to be here with you long term. When you're trying to bond with your baby, you want healthy attachment. You want to break the generational trauma of abortion in your family. You don't have to do this alone. We also provide support groups to adoptive parents as well, just like my mom and dad. So parents can proactively come to a place and say, hey, my baby is 10 months old now, but what am I going to do? When we talk about seeing how everyone is impacted by abortion and how every person impacted by an abortion attempt needs to be supported, that's what we're in the business of doing. Their lives will be better because of the Abortion Survivors Network.